Alright, good morning, YouTube. So we are back again today with an update to a deck profile. This time we have the updated version of Green-Purple Hybrid. So, Digifest just happened, and Red-Green was pretty absent at the top tables. I think there was only one or two lists that made top 16 between the multiple Digifest events that occurred. And so, I would like to shine the spotlight on this variant, which I think will perform much better going into the later half of the meta in BT7. So, if you guys like this kind of content, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and we'll go ahead and start with the updated deck profile. So, starting with our win condition, we still have the 4 Ancient Beetle and the 4 Rhino Kabuteri. You'll see 4 copies of these in any green hybrid list. Nothing really changes here. They're your big boss monsters that are, this warps into this, and this can win games on its own. And that's just kind of how it goes. One of the things that we did change is we did add a Mega Kabuteri. So what this allows us to do is it also can warp into the Ancient Beetle when attacking. You just slap an Ancient insect or an insectoid on top of it, which Ancient Beetle is an ancient insect, and then you just pay the memory cost for evolving. So in Rhino Kabuteri, you're only paying 3, but with this, you're paying the full 5. But this gives you an inheritable effect that says whenever you delete an opponent's Digimon in battle and survive, you gain a memory. So if you're going to go for the JP piercing and security deletion anyway, you're using this and you're only paying 4 instead of what would be the 3. But most of the other level 5s in green don't really flow with this kind of deck. I've seen people trying the Argo. I've seen people trying the Blosso. I don't really like either of those. I don't want to suspend my stack to go into the Ancient Beetle. I would rather just be able to go into this and then pass my turn by swinging with the Beetle. But the big thing that the Mega Kabuteri allows you to do is it allows you to side in to your level 6 green Digimon. Like, let's say you're going against Blue Hybrid, right? And you want to side in these 2 copies of the Argomon that we have from BT5. So you can side out one of the Ancient Beetle and just one other card, and then throw in the 2 Argo, right? So now you still have the 3 Ancient Beetle and the 2 Argo in your deck, so you're playing 5 level 6s in your list, and then you still have these 5 level 5s. So your ratios and your consistency stays good. So this card really, really helps in the game 2 and 3 situations. Whenever you want to play this and then like download into an Argo to stun your opponent from, trying to swing out with all of their big blue hybrids. So this is a really, really good card in games 2 and 3 specifically. If we move to a format where we don't have sideboards, I feel like this card is going to be cut for the second copy of Nemon in the main. We're playing 1 Nemon in the main now, just because of the rise in popularity of Blue Hybrid. This card is kind of bad into that matchup specifically, but Blue Hybrid is also a deck that really, really benefits from having a sideboard. And so if you're playing against Blue Hybrid, you just side this card out. If you are not playing against Blue Hybrid, then you side the second copy in. That's basically just how it works. But if we move to a format with no sideboards, then Nemon becomes a 2 of in the main deck, because this card is still really good. We were testing it at the beginning of this format, and with the number of ways that you have to search JP, specifically with the 4 copies of Boko and the 4 copies of Beetle, you can usually just sit on an Nemon in hand until you have a JP, which you will accumulate one at some point. And then you just pay 3 memory and you get a lot of free value. And it's really nice. So, yeah. This card is an easy side out for the Nemon. The Mega Kabuteri is in a matchup where you're not playing into Blue Hybrid. But I really do like having the Mega Kabuteri in against Blue Hybrid and in the game 2 and 3 situation. So going with the level 4 package, we still have the 4 Metal Kabuteri and the 4 Beetle. These are pretty much mandatory. I'm playing the 2 Arbormon and the 1 copy of Petaltramon. So I feel like 10 level 4s is the bare minimum for a hybrid green deck, be it red-green or green-purple. So really, if you don't want to play the Petaltramon, you don't have to. You can just go with the 2 Arbor. But Petaltramon is a 7,000 power level 4, which really matters this format. Being able to swing over any other level 4 hybrid that we have in the format is very, very nice. Plus, it itself has piercing, so the bodies that you're getting off of JP will have piercing, but this is just another piercer that you're going to have. So your opponent is going to be even more pressured into not playing down bodies and leaving them, because at any point you can just Thunder Laser it and then just pierce over it. This card has really good synergy with Thunder Laser, and I do really like just having 11 level 4s in the list. I think in the original list we were playing 3 Arbor, but we decided to cut 1 to replace it with a Petaltramon to test that, and it's really been working. Yeah, and it's just a good card. You know, having 7,000 on a level 4 is, again, huge this format, because you can swing over whatever you want, really. You can even trade with cards like Jet Sylphie, which is kind of nice. And you want to be suspending a lot of their cards anyway with the Metal Kabuterin and the Thunder Lasers, because you get to, you know, gain memory off of it with Izzy, and then just pierce over them for free. And this very much contributes to that strategy. So I guess we'll go into the rookie package next. In a format with sideboards, I'm playing 4 Tamer in the main, because this is a card that you really want to see game 1 to accelerate your own plays to get you into the game 2 situation. But if we go into a format without sideboards, I think I would drop a copy of Tamer to find room for another card and just play the 7 level 3s. But in a format with sideboards, it's really easy to just play the 8 level 3s and try to go for that super consistent game 1, because Tamer plus Demimera will let you draw a bunch of cards, and Ghazi plus Tamer, or Ghazi plus Demimera, makes it so that you have a memory blocker that if your opponent deletes, then you get a cycle off of, which is really nice. And we are playing the Elecmon now. This card deletes stray Pokemon. In the sideboard, we do have a second copy of Elecmon and a 4th copy of Ghazi, which I feel like is pretty mandatory to play 4 of your memory blockers between your main and side in this format. So we're electing to play 3 in the main and 1 in the side. I felt like that was super consistent. And having 1 Elec and 1 in main and side is also really nice, because if you do see Boko's game 1, you do have the chance to kill it, and then in a game 2 situation, then you can just side into your extra copy of Elecmon. You get to kind of take Tapirs out to kind of cater to this a little bit in the game 2 and 3 situation, but in a match where you don't need Elecmon or Gazimon, Tapir is just overall the most consistent card, which is why we're playing 4 of it. Now, going with the Nemon, I've already talked about that in detail. We play 4 Bokomon because Brokomon is Brokomon in this format, you know? This is the best deck that can abuse Bokomon. Green, specifically, any green hybrid variant makes the most value out of Bokomon compared to literally any other hybrid format, or hybrid deck in the format. And I think it's because of the JP Boko interaction. Like, if you evolve a hybrid on top of JP, then it's only going to cost 1. And then if you have a Boko on board, then you get basically a Hammer Spark for just Digivolving. So, that's really good. You can also accumulate Bokomon on board and just gain a bunch of free value. It's really easy to do in this deck because you can control their board with all of your piercing. And so you basically make it so your opponent doesn't want to swing initially, so they build wide. And then they go wide, and you Schwartzlerzatz them. And then they just die. And it's really good. So Yeah, that's all I got to say about the Digimon. I guess we'll go into the options. Yeah, the Thunder Lasers are there to contribute to your piercing strategy and to combo with the Ancient Beetle. The Thunder Lasers also make it so that Ancient Beetle can basically swing over any level 6 in the format and just get a bunch of value off of it. And then, yeah, the Schwartz-Lazats, you want them to go wide because then they play into this card and they lose. And we play 4 of this in the main deck now instead of, I think we were only playing 3. But anytime we hit this insecurity, we just won the game. So, why not make it a 4 of? Against matchups that you don't need 4 of it, it's really easy to side this out for extra copies of Thunder Laser or even the Fly Bullets. But in a Game 1 situation, this is so versatile against so many decks and really just contributes to your overall win strategy in a kind of a roundabout way. So 4 of it in the main deck I think is absolutely pivotal. It's good to see in your hand. It's better to see in your security. And if you see too many of it, you can just discard it off of Demimera, which is always an option. So I guess I didn't really talk about the eggs. In the first profile I listed for this, we were playing Chocomon as our 5th egg. Don't do that. I forgot Xiaomon was a card. So just play the 4 Demimera and the 1 Xiaomon, and it's easy. Demimera is just super good. That's why it's like a $6 uncommon right now. And then Xiaomon gives you more control. You can turn your Tapir into a Retaliator and then make it so that in the mirror match, they don't want to swing with their Ancient Beetle, which is kind of hilarious. And then I guess the last thing to talk about in the main before we go into the sideboard would be the Tamers. We cut the Izzy Mimi because it wasn't really coming up as often. A lot of people aren't leaving bodies on board to try to play around cards like Sora Joe. And there are also times where you just board wipe your opponent because of the Schwartz. So I elected to just play the 4 JP, the 4 Memory Tamers, and the 3 2-cost Izzies. The 2-cost Izzy has a lot of value in this deck for just being a 2-cost Tamer, but also you have a lot of ways to suspend bodies, so this is just going to gain you stray memory here and there, which is always a plus. And with the Memory Tamers, there's always been a big debate in this deck as to which Memory Tamer you should be playing. Should I be playing Ken or should I be playing Mimi? I elected to play 2 of each because they're both very, very good. I am playing more rookies than a lot of other hybrid variants are, so Mimi gains a lot of value, but also I'm swinging over bodies a lot, so Ken gains a lot of value. And this is a deck that really, really wants to have a Memory Tamer in play and doesn't mind evolving on top of the Memory Tamers because you can recycle them with Nemon if you need to. So I felt like playing 2 and 2 was the correct decision, and I haven't really looked back. This has really been perfect in my playtesting. This deck really feels like it goes at least 50-50 with every good deck in the format. And it doesn't really have any matchups that are just abysmal. So, especially in a format with sideboards, you can really play out of anything with this list. So I guess we're going to go ahead and go into the sideboard now. We got the 2 Argos that you side in against anything that is hybrid. We got the 1 Ancient Troymon. This is kind of the worst card in the sideboard, but it is really good against any rogue matchup that you're going to go against. And you can evolve on top of it with the Rhino Kabuteri. So there will be times that you will want to side into it. But it doesn't have as much value as some of the other cards, so I only elected to play 1 of it in the side. I'm playing 1 Susano in the side, along with the 3 copies of Fly Bullet against matchups like Jessamon or any deck that's going to try to swing for like all of your security in one go. Like X Antibody, you can just side into the Fly Bullets against that. And that's really good. And then Susano also functions as just a high DP Digimon that they can just kind of die to. Usually X Antibody will be able to boost over Susano, but other decks like Jessamon might not be able to. Usually Jessamon is hitting 15,000 unless they put the blue sister in play. Yeah, Susano can just kind of delete a Jessamon if they hit it. But also, this really helps against like yellow decks to not deck out. Because they will try to play to that win condition. And even though this deck is fast, if it takes a little bit to get going, and the yellow player just starts recovering just out the ass, sometimes the Susano is necessary to not deck out yourself, and also be able to just punch for like 3 security at a time, which is, again, very nice. We have the 1 Nemon, the 1 Elecmon, and the 1 Gazi, and the 1 Thunder Laser to round out the sideboard. Just an extra copy of some of the cards that we play in the main deck that against certain matchups where they're very, very good, we just want to see an extra copy, so we will side into them. I think Nemon is probably the card that I side into the most, and the level 6 Argo, but everything in the sideboard has a place, and this is one of those decks that really, really benefits from just having a sideboard. So I guess the last thing to go over would be the matchups. This deck just kind of auto wins against yellow most of the time, because you just get to punch through all of their security, and you go wider than they can deal with a lot of times. Unless you hit multiple Schwartzes in their security, you're winning that game. Against Jessamon, Jessamon always has the chance to high roll you, but that's something that Jessamon is always going to be able to do. But it really feels like it's kind of a 50-50 matchup into that list, because this deck is way more consistent than Jessamon, but you always have to consider that Jessamon can just beat you out of nowhere, so you just kind of have to just play that game faster than some other lists. I mean, you don't want to swing recklessly and hit a memory boost or like ties and security, but that's one of those decks that you just put a couple bodies out and then swing for most of their security in one check and then try to kill them the next turn. Blue Hybrid is honestly not a hard matchup with this list, as long as you play it smart. But if you play recklessly into Blue Hybrid, you will lose. So just be smart about it. This deck doesn't have a losing matchup into Blue Hybrid by any means. And if you make the most value off of your Gazimon and your Beetle, don't put your Beetle into play when it's just gonna get stunned. You use your Beetle to win the game, or force a Tommy. Like, you can use one Beetle to chip through most of their security, and then put them in a situation where they have to Tommy it, and then use a lot of their cards to stun it, and then you just drop the second Beetle on them, and then they lose, which I've done before. It's happened a lot. Ancient Beetle's just a really good card into that matchup as well. But also, so is the Schwartz, so is the Thunder Laser. You don't want them to gain any value off of any of the cards that they have in play. And if they try to beat you with Syakomon or Madoki Beta, it's really easy to just Thunder Laser those cards and then just pierce over them. And then, Cherubi is kind of a toss-up. That deck is scary, but it's very slow. So if they don't set up very, very quickly, you just kind of win. So, yeah, that's about it for all the relevant matchups this format. I guess, if more people start playing X Antibody, that could honestly be this deck's hardest matchup. But if they don't see their pieces fast enough, then you just win, because your deck is more consistent than theirs because of all of these cards right here in the middle. So I think that's all I have to say. This has been kind of a long update, but we've gotten in a lot of testing with this deck, so we've gotten a lot of thoughts. And I hope this information will help you in the later half of the BT7 format. So next we will give you some other updates to some of the other decks that we've been playing this format. So stay tuned for those, and we will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.